Let's keep it going across the rest of college basketball over the last couple nights. I do want us to kind of stay in the SEC. Two other quick results to get to. The first, Kentucky loses at home to Vanderbilt. And this was another weird one, right? We had some weird games on Wednesday night. In this one specifically, Kentucky gets up early. Kentucky blows the lead. Kentucky gives up a big play right before the half. The audio on the broadcast goes out. I know some of you may have been at Rupp Arena, but for those of you who weren't, who are watching on TV just like me, weird audio problems. But really, at the end of the day, the reason that Kentucky lost this game was pretty straightforward. Their best player, or I would argue their most important player, Cason Wallace, went out early in the second half with an injury. And by the way, this was on a day where John Calipari announced that Sahvir Wheeler, who was the starting point guard this year for Kentucky, he had another surgery that's going to keep him out for an extended period of time. It sounds like probably the rest of the season. But Cason Wallace goes down with an injury. He does not play, and Kentucky loses by 2. The crazy part was they got a great look at the basket to win this game. Now, in terms of kind of big picture stuff with Kentucky, I guess what I would say pretty straightforward is this. I think the good news, first of all, I'm not going to do the whole like Calipari's terrible, fire Calipari, like we're over that. I am past that. I'm not doing that. If you want that analysis from someone in the media, I'm sure somebody is still on the fire Calipari every time Kentucky has a bad possession. That's not who I am, and that's not who I'm going to be. I'm sorry. If that's what you want, you got to go somewhere else. But I think there's a little positive and a little negative for Kentucky right now. The positive, Cason Wallace is going to be okay. Calipari said after the game, they did x-rays. There's no breaks. There's no fractures. There's no nothing. It's just a question of how long he'll be out. Does not sound like he'll be playing at Arkansas. I'm just telling you, I don't know what the Betfred Sportsbook line will be in that game, but bet Arkansas, there's no way they're losing at home when Cason Wallace isn't on the court. But you hope to get him back for the SEC tournament. Calipari said at worst, it's probably an NCAA tournament thing. But man, you just talk about the wrong injury at the wrong time. The good news is that he is coming back. But the bad news is, and this is a concern that many Kentucky fans have expressed to me, Kentucky just doesn't have a lot of depth right now, right? This is always a program. Calipari does not historically fill up his 13 scholarships, but this year it feels especially pressing. The rotation got tight the last couple weeks. Then Sahvir Wheeler goes down with an injury. Then CJ Frederick goes down with an injury. Then CJ Frederick comes back, but Cason Wallace is now out. And as I said a minute ago, without Cason Wallace, you also don't have Sahvir Wheeler. You really don't have a point guard. If Cason Wallace can't play against Arkansas, you basically don't have a point guard going into Arkansas. And so that's the concern for Kentucky fans, is really over the last couple of weeks that, to their credit, Calipari found a lineup that worked, but there really is no depth. Went back, they played at Florida last Tuesday or Wednesday night. All 5 starters played 35 plus minutes in that Florida game, okay? And so if you lose a player of Cason Wallace's caliber, there's just nobody to replace him. So for a Kentucky fan, you got to hope that he's okay. You got to hope that they can survive this. If he comes back, listen, if he comes back, he's 100%. I still think Kentucky is as good as, I think they're capable of beating just about anybody in college basketball. Now, will they? I don't know. But this is a team I just said on the last episode. Like, they're good enough to beat just about anybody. But they end up losing this game. It's a cause for concern. Cason Wallace is out. You got to get healthy. One last